out your phones. Yes, we're asking you to get them out and get ready to call in.
And maybe, too, get out a notebook and a pad and paper because you're going to learn a whole lot. So that number is 413-377-2001. You might be asking, why are we calling in? Ashley, tell us why we're calling in
Well,
today.
you probably have questions. How do I store my lettuce to keep it from wilting so fast? How do I store my avocado so they get ripe? Well, here with the answers is personal chef Bill Collins from chefbill.com. Bill, we love having you.
I love being here.
Now we're talking about storing your fruits and veggies so that you get the most out of them.
Yes, because there are two problems, or two results of this problem, is that you end up wasting food and wasting money. Because it's so easy not only just to forget the food you might have in your fridge or might put away in a pantry, but even worse, you might not have wrapped it up well enough so it doesn't go even half as long as you want it to go. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, the different kinds of leafy things, root vegetables, berries, all of these things. And the great thing with being able to get fresh foods all year round is that it's not just a summertime thing, it's an all year round thing.
So why don't we start with some fruits rather.
Sure.
Ooh, it's Tuesday. So we have the fruits here. We get them and we usually pick them up in these boxes and bins. So what do we do when we bring them home?
Absolutely, but first I want to just mention and thank our friends at Whole Foods in Hadley for providing us with all of this great produce today, and starting with the berries. Some things you can almost categorize of where they're going to go. Berries and lots of fresh fruit go into the refrigerator. You definitely always want to do that. And other things like leafy things you can keep out. So let's talk about the berries. And here are two ways of looking at it. What are you going to do with them? And what I mean by that is oftentimes, especially in season, you're going to be getting big flats of these. They might be on sale. You go by a roadside, and you're going to be bringing home a metric ton of berries. And you can't eat them all. So here's what you want to do. You want to put them in the fridge if you're going to be eating them in the next few days, because these do turn quickly. They turn from a beautiful ripe berry to a mush thing in no time.
Or they shrivel, and you don't like that.
Exactly. So you want to eat a berry at its peak of freshness. So rinse it off. If you rinse it off, dry it off. Don't put it in the fridge wet, because it's that moisture which is going to kill it. So just in a light towel or something, rinse it off. But now, say you do have a ton of berries, or you realize, I'm going out of town, I'm not going to be able to eat them, what do? You can freeze them. And what I like to do is, you just don't want to throw them in a big Ziploc type baggie and throw them in the freezer, because when you want them, number one, you have a big clump.
You can ice pick out.
And exactly. And number two, if you only want some of them, you're out of luck. You have to thaw them all. So what I like to do is I like to either take the whole berry, pardon me, to take a little drink there. I take the whole berry, you take the top off, take the green part off, and either freeze the whole berry or cut it, slice it into quarters or into slices, however you want to have them when you thaw them out.
Okay.
But now, pop them in the freezer in a single layer. That's the key thing. If you clump them, it won't work. Now, what if you have a side-by-side freezer or whatever? A lot of times people just have big sheet pans. Get a disposable one, and you can put as many as you can squeeze into your freezer, and they'll freeze quickly. And once they're frozen, then you can put them into a big bag and make as big a clump as you want, because they're not going to stick together. So you can do this in a bunch of them at a time, or if you only have room for one, and stretch that over the afternoon, and you'll have them all.
Oh, wow. So you can get a big flat of berries and have them all year round.
Exactly, and that also applies to blueberries as well. And with the blueberries, when you get them, especially when you get the local ones, you've got little stems, pluck the stems off. So if you're going to eat them right away, obviously skip eating the stems. But if you're going to freeze them in the same way, and pluck the stems off, one layer, and you can be eating berries all year round.
Now, Chef Bill, we have a tricky one here. Next up, I want to discuss avocado.
Yes, avocado, it's kind of simple and complex at the same time, because it depends on when you buy the avocado. I don't mean like on a Thursday or a Saturday,
No.
but when in the life of the avocado that you buy it. And here's what I mean. Sometimes you buy them and they're like a rock. You could chip a tooth
And
on
they're
it.
bright green.
Lately,
Exactly.
they've always been like that for me.
Exactly, and a lot, or you'll find them on sale when they're a complete mush. And so what you want to do is have some degree of firmness. Hold on to it. This is good to go. You can make guacamole with this anytime, and it's nice and firm. However, if it's not firm when you bring it home, leave it out on the counter and give it a few days, and it'll be fine. However, what if you want guacamole the next night? Take the same avocado, put it in a brown paper bag. And that speeds up the process, because things about so many of these foods, it's a matter of, just like with baking is time and temperature, it's a matter of humidity, it could be a matter of heat, it could be a matter of putting things in a cool, dark place. They all react differently. And it's not so much you have to memorize, okay, I've got an avocado, the 5 different things to do with it, but just generally, where's it going to go and what are you going to do with it? But an avocado will ripen on your countertop, and it'll ripen more slowly if you put it right in the fridge when it's hard as a rock. Do it in the counter.
And I remember someone told me just a little quick tip once, and it might have been you. If you want to expedite its ripeness, you pop this little piece off the top, and you'll be good to go.
Well, yes and no, because that is true, because air's going to get in there, but also, well, with oxygen getting in there, you run the risk right around the little pop-top thing where it can turn brown more quickly. Because avocado, a perfect avocado is bright green. Once the air hits it, it starts to turn brown quickly. So again, it's one of those little rules of food, so that's why it's best just leave it on the counter, and if you have the time, if it's still a rock, you say put it in the paper bag, and hopefully you have a day or so before.
And then you got to have some guacamole.
That's exactly it.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, thank you.
Now, we want people to call in with your food storage questions. You can give us a call, 413-377-2001. Don't worry, we'll be back with Chef Bill later on in the show, so if you didn't have a chance to call this time, you will then.
If you're also looking for extra freezer space these days, what you can do is just put any of your food outside because it's cold out.
Back with Chef Bill from chefbill.com. We're talking about storing your food properly, and you can call in right now, 413-377-2001 with your question.
But we also have an internet question. Mark from Springfield's wondering, can you freeze bananas?
Yes, and I'm glad Mark asked that question because I brought some less, or I should say overly ripe bananas with me, and that's exactly what I do. I peel them, put them in the Ziploc bag, just like the strawberries, put them in a layer, don't clump them all together. And then when it comes time to use them, I put them in smoothies, or if you're making banana bread, and you put it in from frozen in a smoothie, put it in a layer in the Ziploc bag, freeze it, you'll be fine. And also, it'll pluck right off. You can just take 1 or 2 bananas off there if you put them all in a line like that. So yes, great question. And that's what you want to do because bananas sneak up on you and they go bad.
And the sweeter ones, you're right, they're great for smoothies and banana bread, especially.
Exactly, yep.
We're also wondering, Jane from Pittsfield, do you have to wash blueberries before you freeze them?
I recommend it for a number of reasons, because also after something's been frozen, it's going to, and when you thaw it out, it can often be very mushy, especially blueberries and strawberries. This way, rinse them, dry them, gently rub them in paper towel, another towel, and you're done with it. And you don't have to worry about that afterwards. So it's a step that you want to do beforehand, so you don't have to do it later.
Okay, now we have a caller, Anne-Marie. Hi, Anne-Marie, can you hear us?
Hi, Anne-Marie.
Yes, I can. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
What's your question?
My question, well, it was really an egg question, but I'll give you a vegetable question. My egg question is more important. I want to know, how do you stop those eyes? I've tried putting them in a dark basement in the garage. I guess I should go bury them in the frozen cold. However, no matter what I do, it's not long after I buy very expensive potatoes because I like the finger potatoes.
Yep.
And those eyes grow. Like first they have fingers, then they have eyes.
Yes, that's right. It's the whole person. Now, sometimes, number one, it's best to keep them in a cool, dry place. If you have a root cellar or a basement, I've got neither of those. So I try and keep them in the coolest part of my pantry cabinet. However, if you keep them for a long time, especially if you bought them at the end of last season, you bought a bunch from a farm share or whatever.
I did. Well, I grew my own on the cave.
Yep, so all I can say is pluck them off. They're going to grow. I don't know of a way to prevent them from happening. So you just eat them faster, or just pluck them off when you eat them. You can even dig around them a little bit, but as long as you just pluck them off, they'll be fine.
Back with Chef Bill Collins from chefbill.com. We're answering your questions about food storage. Now, before we jump into the questions, you have good advice for storing kale.
Yes, actually, the thing is, when you start with the kale, you want to take it off the stem. And a lot of people try and cut it with a knife. It peels right off from the middle of the stem. And then rinse it. And I like to throw it in a salad spinner, and that dries it out. You don't want to throw strawberries in a salad spinner, but lettuce, leafy things like this, they do beautifully. You can soak them, and that's why you get a bowl of water, or you can clean your sink and fill it up. Put the kale, the other leafy greens in, lettuce, whatever, Swiss chard. Dry it out. Or you should take it out and dry it. You don't have to use a towel. Put it in the salad spinner, and you're fine.
But if you don't have a salad spinner, towel.
Towel.
Okay.
Yep. But a salad spinner, it's the best thing in the world.
Really?
It's like a snowblower. It's so great. And
Which, by the way, a snowblower, one of the best inventions ever.
it
this
is,
year,
but don't try and dry your leafy greens with a snowblower.
No.
That stays outside. Because it might seem like, 25 minutes or something, but or $25 to buy one. It's your produce will last longer because it'll be drier. That's a really key thing. You really do want to have a salad spinner. Yep.
Very cool.
One of the great things. But we've had some questions also about how to make bananas last longer. Now, I've got a non-answer for that, but there's some things that people have tried that sometimes work. Separating the bananas. Some people say that really works well.
Really?
Honestly. But the thing is, with bananas now being greener and greener when you buy them, used to be you could. It's actually very hard to buy a banana that you want to eat that day. So just buy fewer bananas. That might sound kind of like a flip answer, but especially if you're in the supermarket fairly often, you'll get the better part of a week out of your bananas. So even if you go once a week, buy fewer ones. But then if they do go bad, go with the freezing thing. Just don't want a whole freezer filled with bananas. So just remember that they're in there and use them.
Right, exactly. So just buy or try separating them. Maybe it'll
Try
help them
separating.
last longer.
I'm going to try that. I heard that, and I think it's a clever way to do it. And give it a try.
Now, do you store, back to the kale, sorry.
Yes.
Do you put a paper towel in the bag with them when you store it?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I don't, and there are a few schools of thought because you're going to get generally a week, almost a week out of these varying methods. Put them in the same supermarket bag that it came in, because those do let a little air in. Put it in a Ziploc bag, which completely seal it. Put it in with a dry piece of paper towel. Some people say put it in with a damp piece of paper towel, so it will keep some moisture in there. All of those will work. I tend to just keep it in the bag it's in. The key thing that's always tough to remember is to remember what's in your fridge, and so you can wrap it up beautifully. But that's what I tend to do. I tend to keep it. I usually do keep it on the stalk and try and remember to use it up. But otherwise, it's also going to take up less room if you do take it off the stalk.
Okay.
So,
right, exactly. You have more room in your refrigerator. Can you freeze it?
yes, you can. It's going to come out with a slightly different texture, but when you do freeze it, it's good. It's great for putting in smoothies. I do put kale in smoothies. It doesn't make it it does turn it sometimes a little bit green, but it gives you a little bit more of the nutrients that you find in kale you wouldn't necessarily find in the berries and other fruits. So yes, you can freeze it.
Wow, good.
But you want to make sure it's dry when you freeze it.
Okay.
Another general rule we were talking about before the show starts, if something has a peel on it, it's best for the most part to leave it out, not put it in the fridge. Things like onions and garlic.
And yes, when you look at some of those root vegetables, because a lot of people put garlic and onions in the refrigerator, I don't think that's a great idea, because with the moisture that's often in there, the skins turn soft, you get moisture in there, and I think it actually helps them go bad faster. So leave them in a cool, dry place, or if you find a lot of it's going bad, buy less of it. And so onions and garlic definitely stay either on the countertop or in a cool, dry place. Same thing, potatoes and sweet potatoes, those stay out as well.
Okay, but if you buy garlic minced in the jar, that goes in the refrigerator?
Yes, because usually that, yes.
Refrigerate
yes,
after opening.
It's funny, I haven't bought that in about 25 years, but yes, that's true. Because
Sometimes I do.
I kind of use the
Easier.
fresh stuff, but yeah, I get that. But
If you're a mom on the go.
that's an important thing. Once you open it up, definitely refrigerate it.
Okay, let's talk about Eileen's question. She's from Pittsfield, and
Yes.
her question is about Teflon pans.
Yes, and I believe the question was specifically that things were starting to stick where they weren't sticking before. Teflon has a shelf life, and it could be 10 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 5 days, because once the surface starts to wear down, either time or somebody goes to take a metal utensil and turn something over in the pan, and that'll chip it, and that will start to degrade the surface. So Teflon over time will break down, and you will have to replace it. That's why I'm more partial to the not non-stick pans, because they do last forever.
So Eileen, throw your pans away.
Yeah, get new ones.
Get new ones. It's
Chef
time.
Bill,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Love having you here every single week. Also, check this